Showtime, and we're back.
And we're back. It's been a minute. Not too long. Not too short though. But
Just
we're
right.
back. And I think we've gotten rid of the baggage that was whatever, I can't even remember his name. Floyd.
Carl, wasn't it a C
Carl,
or something?
I
don't know.
He was dead weight, and we got rid of him. And I hope you hear just how much nicer and crisper and cleaner we all sound today. Our levels are good. Our Matt got a new computer. His thing sounds so crisp and nice. So no more bad comments about this and that, and I'm gonna unsubscribe. If you don't get his,
I'm gonna
better...
unsubscribe 50 times because your guys' mics are so bad.
I'm gonna tank your Media Blade score. You're gonna be hurting
Media
for subs.
Blade?
It's like, it just shows you like how popular your Twitch or YouTube
counts
are. Yeah.
What do we have? What's our score?
We're vying for 10,000th place. So.
Ooh, in the running?
We're in the running.
Sounds promising.
Against some really heavy hitters out there. But we are the only and the best. Do you hear this emphasis over here?
I do. I like that a lot.
I
don't know why we haven't had that before.
A little egg shaker over here. But yeah, we're the only and the best music and beer podcast vying for 10,000th place on Social Media Blade. So put that in your pipe and smoke
Let's
it.
go.
Let's go. So yeah. Anyway,
as usual, we start with the beer portion, though.
Yeah. So Matt, what are you drinking today?
Today I have a Cold Day IPA from Montauk Brewing.
Montauk.
Today wasn't the coldest of days, so this is already a little dated. But I did have these in the dead of New York winter, and I don't know why, but this does taste like a Cold Day IPA. Like it's kind of like a winter ale, and it has that freshness, hoppiness, crispness that you would expect from an IPA, and none of the like juiciness that you would think from like a summer type beer or a juicy IPA. It's just kind of like bare bones, kind of chilling and to the point, crisp and cold and refreshing.
Sounds very nice,
and it's good. Yeah. What about you?
So I dipped back into the well of the Columbus Brewing Company, and they had a special one going on called Go-Kart Ghost. It's an extra pale ale. And it's funny, I just picked it out because I was like, I've never seen this one before from excuse me.
Oh yeah. Listen to that.
I burped immediately into the microphone. It's a pale ale, and I was saying, I just picked it out because I had never seen it before. But funnily enough, it tastes a lot like the beer that we were talking about last podcast from that Vermont brewery that I've been like craving and seeking. It's very piney, a great pine scent as well as a pine taste, grapefruity scent and taste, tropical. It's like a great like spring beer. I actually quite enjoy this one a lot, and very fruity, resiny style pale ale. So I was quite pleased when I took a sip of it right before this podcast, and I was like, oh wow, this is kind of exactly what I had been looking for.
I'm looking at the can art too, and it looks awesome.
Yeah, it's that's what I like. I got it. It's very colorful and interesting. It's like kind of like a Pac-Man ghost on there driving a go-kart.
Yeah. Any idea why it's called Go-Kart Ghost?
I think breweries are just running out of names to call
That's
things.
probably true. Breweries out there listening, call me up for names. I got a treasure trove of names.
They don't come cheap though. Be
Oh
warned.
no, it's a pretty penny for my names.
I did notice on the ingredients for this, it uses El Dorado mosaic hops, and the El Dorado is like copyrighted. I wonder
I saw
if
that too.
it's like are hops like now like proprietary and stuff, like blends of hops. It's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Possibly.
Yeah, but I do like it. Once again, if you're in the Columbus or Ohio or tri-state area, you pick this one up if you can. It's good. I think it's also only a limited release run, so get it while you can.
Very good. Now let's everyone all together take a sip of our beers before we start the music part.
Yeah.
All right, ready? Here we go.
Oh. Ooh. Great mouthfeel.
10 out of 10 mouthfeel.
Okay.
The feel.
Viewers, I hope you should we have like a drink along?
Yeah, I think we always need to do that.
All right, viewers, get your beers.
Let's go back and edit that in.
Yeah, it's like grab it. If you're listening to this in the car, I don't care. Grab your beer.
Yeah, you better.
Mm-hmm. I'll come for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Music stuff.
Music. Let's go.
What do you want to start with?
Well, we've got a little menagerie of things here. How about what are we looking forward to in 2021?
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think
because I don't think we
good things.
Yeah, I think we've done that sometimes, like in our year-end wrap-up.
Yeah, but we didn't do it this time, did we?
I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is coming up? Perhaps this might already be out when this goes up, but Mo Troper is putting out an album March 12th that I'm intrigued by.
Who is this Mo Troper?
They had some songs that I was really into.
They had some songs. Wow, only 700 listeners on Spotify.
Big. Yeah,
you're getting in on this early, Matt.
Yeah, very early.
Mm-hmm.
In 2017, their album Exposure and Response, I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the front half of the album, and then their 2020 album Natural Beauty, I wasn't as big on.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it'll be a comeback for me.
What kind of music is it?
Indie rock, kind of. It would be hard to put like a specific genre on it.
Okay, I'm saving Exposure and Response to listen to later. I'm intrigued.
Okay, I think you'll like the front half.
Mm-hmm.
I think it peters out a little bit.
Okay,
but yeah. So we'll see. And Remember Sports, formerly the band called Sports, on April 23rd. Again, like a band whose earlier releases I liked a lot, and then the recent stuff I haven't been as much into.
Yeah, we saw them. Were you there when we saw them live at Roomba?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was cool.
Mm-hmm. I think they like blew a speaker or something, didn't they? Or maybe I'm confusing
I don't remember
I might be confusing that with
well.
another.
You probably remember better than I do.
I'm not so sure, but yeah, they're fun to see, and I do like I like their older stuff too, and an Ohio band as well.
Yeah, kind of like a country, not country.
Like
they're
folky,
like
indie rock,
emo punk with a little bit of like country dashed in.
Yeah, exactly.
But some of the bigger stuff. Well, I should mention before I get to that, Cloud Nothings.
Yeah. Just
put out an album February 26th.
I listened to that like the first few tracks of that today at work before I had to like get on a call or something. I think like you were saying it didn't quite grab me yet. I need to listen to the whole thing and maybe like re-listen to it again, but on first listen it just kind of like some of their other new releases isn't quite like sticking with me like some of their older stuff did.
Right. Yeah, let's see. Maybe in a month we'll be more into it.
Yeah.
I need to give it more time, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the rumored big names, Rosalia hasn't put out an album in a while, and I really think she will this year.
Isn't she teasing? So the only reason I know this is because my girlfriend's a huge Bad Bunny fan. Isn't she teasing like a lot of like Instagram pictures with him and stuff? Like
she does that with a lot of people. But
okay.
yeah, I have seen some of those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been listening to a ton of like what quote unquote like Matt style music lately, just because that's kind of like one of her favorite genres, and it's just been sort of like around me now, and I'm definitely appreciating and liking it more these days, just like having just it on in the background or like in the car, and I'm like picking up on some of the things that I may not have like understood about it before, like reggaeton and just like the new wave of Latin music in America.
Nice. Yeah, it's definitely like takes a little bit of time to pick up on that nuance. Pretty much any time like I listen to something like a new type of genre or something that just is like outside of my wheelhouse, it takes a little bit of time.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
like figure out where it fits in my music palette, I guess.
Yeah, you don't know what to think about it at first. You got to formulate the ideas, and some of it you might not pick up on at first. It might be confusing. You might, So I think that's kind of where I was at with reggaeton before, but it's definitely is totally growing on me.
Cool.
I would love a new Rosalia album.
Yeah, I'm curious. I think she'll probably go in the pop direction the way that she has been going.
Yeah, I'm not sure she'll do another flamenco album again.
Yeah, probably not. But it's so interesting, her progression, because that's what we really loved about her.
When she first came out, are you talking about her progression is what we really love about her?
Just the like first album that we listened to.
Yeah.
Was just like very traditional flamenco music with just her voice and like an acoustic guitar, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I think I liked that album. That's probably my favorite of her albums so far. But I do really like the direction that she's gone in, and that I like a lot of the singles that and a lot of her appearances on songs.
Yeah, and she's huge now. Like she had a single with Billie Eilish like a month ago.
Yeah, she's massive, bro.
Yeah.
27 million monthly listeners.
Oh damn. I looked up I was looking at on Spotify, it tells you like the monthly rank of how many people listen to that artist like this month, and like who's the number one listen to this month. I think The Weeknd was number one. I think that was because of the Super Bowl. But I was shocked. Justin Bieber is still like number 2 on there. And I'm like, who's still listen? Like, does Justin Bieber have that huge of a following that even when he's not like releasing a ton of new music, he's still like the second most streamed person on Spotify?
That's pretty crazy. I wouldn't have guessed that. Well, there's your fun fact of the podcast, folks.
You're welcome. Yeah, Wikipedia has like all sorts of stats of like the most listened to of all time, the most like streamed of the year, and things like that. It's actually pretty fun to maybe that might be another topic for another podcast, but that's like it's pretty fun to look at. And some people who you wouldn't think are on there, and it's fun to like look at the years, like who was the top listened to people in like 2012 is so different from like the genres that are really popular in 2021. Like 2012 still had like some like indie and like pop or rock artists like on there. So
yeah, interesting. 2012 was, speaking of Cloud Nothings, Attack on Memory, I believe.
Yeah, it was 2012 or 2013 for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. We do an entire segment on that Matt and Riley read Wikipedia articles.
Yeah, we'll just read the entire thing verbatim to you, so you don't have to.
A couple other names that maybe might release albums this year. Casey Musgraves, who I've talked about before.
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar, Danny Brown.
People have been saying Kendrick Lamar for years now.
Yeah, who knows? Okay, but actually Danny Brown is more interesting because he turns 40 this year.
Oh, shit.
And his album Triple X, when he turned 30, is my favorite Danny Brown album. Actually, one of my favorite rap albums of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would be... That album was amazing kind of for him because it kind of put him on the spot, on the map a little bit, I think. I think he was not very popular, and that album made him much more popular.
Yeah.
So now that he's kind of like pretty well established, what would quadruple X be about? What kind of content would it cover?
Yeah.
But it would be super cool. I mean, 40-year-old rapper, I'm sure he has some more stories to tell.
Oh yeah, or just like reflecting on his 10 years of fame, essentially.
Yeah, there's a lot he could talk about.
Yeah,
I know you really liked Atrocity Exhibition.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite albums when it came out. And what was I didn't quite listen to his most recent one as much as Atrocity Exhibition, but that was I'm a big Danny Brown fan too.
Yeah, I had kind of forgotten about his most recent one a little bit, to be honest. But yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
That's what.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then
what about you?
Yeah, so this one is definitely going to come out before this podcast is up. But on March 5th, emo band Tiger's Jaw is dropping a new album, and funnily enough, this year I may have talked about it in the last podcast, but I returned to Tiger Jaw's first self-titled album quite a bit in 2020, so it sort of reinvigorated my interest in them, and so I'm pretty excited to see, you know, what does a Tiger's Jaw sound like 12 years after the release of their self-titled. So that's going to come out here soon, so I'm excited to listen to that. NoFX has a new album slated to come out.
I saw that. I think I heard one of the singles or something.
Yeah, they made a song about how they're not going to play Linoleum anymore, and it was like a Linoleum diss track, which was wild. But yeah, and I kind of, in my list, I put what year is it? Because NoFX is releasing an album. The other one is AFI is releasing a new album on June 11th. And I haven't listened to AFI since college probably. But I mean, I was a pretty big fan of their older stuff, and even their early 2000s, mid 2000s type stuff grew on me a little bit. So I'm same with NoFX. I'm like, what does AFI sound like in 2021? And also another band from the late 80s, early 90s, Dinosaur Jr. April 23rd, they just released a new single called I Ran Away, which sounded like just classic Dinosaur Jr. sound. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to see that again. And Dinosaur Jr. has been one of those bands that I've been listening to for, I feel like, more years than not of my life, essentially. They've been just sort of there for over half my life. I've been listening to them, so
that's pretty. And they've been around for your entire life.
Oh,
you could have out of the womb been listening to them.
Yeah, they've been around longer than I've been alive, and I've been listening to them at least since I was I don't know, 10 or something. So
yeah, bands like that are crazy. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's their job, so you get it. It's a career. It's what they're doing professionally, but it's still crazy to think about how far back, how long of a history you have with a band.
Yeah.
still like making relevant music and stuff that you're interested in 20 years later.
It's not it. A lot of bands or artists don't have that sort of staying power.
Super hard.
Another one I can think of is like Weezer. They've been like prolifically putting
Don't
out
they have an
albums.
album this year too? You should put it on your
had
list.
yeah, they had an album come out this year already.
Oh, it already did.
And they're having another one come out this year too.
Wow, just prolific.
Yeah, it's like they never really stopped. They had and some of their newer output, like I feel like it's hit and miss, but like hit and miss in the fact that like they'll release one really good album, like Everything Will Be Alright in the End, and then they'll release like a not so good one, like Pacific Daydream wasn't that good, and then they'll release like it's almost like a grab bag of like some albums are really good, some are missed, and I haven't listened to their new one entirely yet, but I like a lot of the singles off of it, and from what I've been reading, it uses like Baroque instrumentation with like strings and like an orchestra and stuff. So I'm pretty interested to hear that direction that Weezer took. But like Weezer, I used to the Blue album. I used to have a like a alarm clock radio with a CD player, and that album would wake me up for school every day.
Now that's crazy to think about, because that's actually dating it. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Those words didn't make sense to like
an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah, anybody born after the year 2006 like does not know what that is, or probably or not even probably even the year 2000 like doesn't know what that is. But yeah, I used to like for 6th grade, like that was like my alarm clock. So the Blue album. So yeah, it is crazy to think like these guys have been sticking around with us for so long.
Yeah, that's a pretty good lead in to another topic we were kicking around. The idea
comebacks.
Of music comebacks.
I was gonna say like Dinosaur Jr. was gonna be my segue, but the greatest music comebacks of all time?
Who
are they?
Question mark?
Yeah.
So I like Googled this. I was like, has anyone ever thought of this before?
And obviously people have.
Everybody's thought about everything.
But
I was not impressed with any of the list. It was stuff like Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, Van Halen, just because they like changed singers or band members.
Mm-hmm.
But we came up with, I think, some pretty good ones. So you mentioned Dinosaur Jr. already.
Yeah, so they and they had kind of like fizzled out a bit in the late 90s, early 2000s, either middling quality albums or just like a hiatus of sorts. And then they released the album Beyond, and I want to say 2006 or 2005. And that kind of was like a resurgence of life into Dinosaur Jr. And I remember this is another one that Zoomers won't know, but I went to like FYE and like bought that album. I was so stoked, like new Dinosaur Jr. Holy crap! And so
2007 was Beyond.
Oh, it was 2007. Yeah,
which was actually interesting. My introduction to Dinosaur Jr.
was
I'd
Beyond.
never listened to them before, and then I listened to Beyond and really liked them.
Yeah, and the only reason I knew them is because like I had family members who were big fans of them, and like I just like inherited their like tapes or like whatever, and just randomly started listening to them as a kid. But yeah, so they had a great comeback, and I mean they're still kicking.
Do you think Beyond was better than their previous work?
It's hard
or
to,
just
like,
up to par
it's
after
up to
such
par.
a long layoff.
Yeah, it's like it's as good as their best.
I think that's about as best you can hope for a comeback.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's so much when you have like really great like first and second albums, or like a really great early catalog. People will always compare your newer output to the classics.
For sure.
If someone says this is as good as the classics, like that, it doesn't even have to be better than the classics. It's just like that's about as quite the compliment that you can get, essentially.
Yeah, I guess to define real quick what I meant with greatest comebacks is like just musicians that were like on fire, a big deal, like were popular in the public consciousness, zeitgeist, and for whatever reason either broke up or withered away or started making bad music and people didn't care anymore.
Yeah.
And then had an album that sparked it back up again.
Yeah.
And I think Dinosaur Jr. fits that. I mean, they're not like, they weren't like crazy popular, but they definitely had a
they're no
large
AC/DC or
right.
Van
But amongst like that scene and their fans were quite popular.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
And I think still are to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they fit for sure.
Mm-hmm.
One group that I think definitely fits this is Daft Punk.
Okay, yeah.
Which recent news for anyone that didn't hear, they announced that they were breaking up or just not making music anymore, which they hadn't since 2013.
Yeah, it was like 8. So they announced 8 years after their last album that they broke up.
So why announce something like that if you're already not doing it, unless you're going to do a reunion?
They're trying to,
right?
Yeah. Oh, I think you're onto something, man.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, but the comeback that I'm thinking of for them was actually their previous album, Random Access Memories, which was they did a live album in 2007, Tron, the movie album in 2010, but really it was their last true album since Discovery in 2001.
Or it's Human After All.
Human After All. What year was that one?
That was 2005.
2005.
But that fits your
8 years.
Yeah, fits your narrative though too, because Human After All, actually, people really didn't like that one too much.
Yeah, definitely. I think around that time they were still quite popular. Right? Don't you think?
Yeah, I think they were definitely popular, and like their Alive album from 2007 is like you can just tell that they're still huge as hell because the crowd size at that thing is insane. It was a huge tour.
Yeah, right, true. But they were, by 2013, it's not like people are really talking about Daft Punk too much. I mean, there's always been this mystique about them, and they were like hinting at an album by like changing the colors on their website that hadn't been changed or at all over the past few years. And definitely when Random Access Memories came out, both of us listened to it a lot and enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I haven't like returned to it frequently.
I had it until they broke up, and then I was like, I want to listen to Daft Punk again. Yeah,
but it's really good still. I think it's kind of unique. It's a very original album.
Yeah, it's like it like is disco, and I was like, oh, is there gonna be like a disco resurgence after? But it was like the only one that really did that essentially. Yeah, it's really really unique, and it's really breaks away from their previous albums too. Would you call it house music still, even?
Random Access Memories, no.
Yeah, it's almost like an entirely new genre for them, and they have lots of features like famous musicians on it, like Julian Casablancas and Pharrell, Panda Bear. Like it's definitely a different type of album for them, but like it was an experiment that really paid off, I think.
Yeah, and I still love the music on that album. Like, it's very melodic. It really felt like it was a perfect comeback in the sense that like when it came out, it was just like, yeah, it's not Daft Punk like what we had come to expect, but it was kind of perfect in that it was completely unique and felt timely for whatever reason. Like there's this kind of like mid like boom of electronic music. I think that was kind of, I think a lot EDM was kind of oversaturated.
Yeah, this was like during the height of like dubstep EDM type music.
Yeah, so I think having this album that was like just kind of like a throwback to like in music that was made with instruments
Mhm.
was super super cool for a group that's known for like making house electronic music
Yeah.
popular.
And I'll also say some of the most like moving Daft Punk songs are on here, like
Mhm.
Touch
Yeah.
is probably like one of their most like the crescendo of that song, and it's very powerful and like very sentimental. Really like some of their most beautiful music is on here as well.
I agree. So they definitely fit the bill, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Pretty big. You put on, I think we talked about the Strokes as well.
Yeah.
That's their comeback was just last year. And that was on, was that on, I know it was on my list of albums for the year. I think honorable mention, or maybe
Yeah,
number
honorable
3.
mention, I think. I definitely talked about it.
But yeah, like people had almost written off the Strokes as kind of like washed up. Like
Mhm.
they'd been doing kind of the same sound for a long time. Their albums weren't really getting much critical acclaim or much doing very good numbers and stuff. But this one kind of came out and really showed everybody that the Strokes and Julian Casablancas still, had shit going for them. And it was like a great remix of their sounds. And yeah, like I said, definitely one of my favorite albums from last year.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. It not a kind of album like Random Access Memories that kind of reinvents who they are. It still sounded like a Strokes album.
Yeah.
But the songwriting was in a way that felt relevant, very relevant last year. And I think it was one of the best albums of last year, which is kind of crazy that who would have thought the Strokes?
Yeah.
Like they were so like out of the zeitgeist.
I wonder how. So Rick Rubin produced that one actually, and I'm wondering how much of his touch like transformed that into what it is. But it would, just having that huge name attached to the production, like, definitely did favors to the album for sure.
For sure.
And in like interviews I was listening with Julian about the production of the album, he said, I guess Rick like did a lot to like strip back like just basically the bare bones of like what makes the Strokes, and like changing the songwriting so that it was much like simpler and just pure essentially. And I think it paid off.
Yeah, sounds like a pretty big role then, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. What else? What other stuff?
We had Kid Cudi question mark.
The question mark belongs.
Yeah, when Man on the Moon 3 came out, I was like, "Ooh, I kind of like this," but then I like never listened to it again. So.
Yeah, I liked it too, but is it like it's not a full resurgence? For
what I will say about Kid Cudi and a comeback though, it wasn't on this solo album, but it was with Kids See Ghosts and him and Kanye. True. That was a great album, and I don't know how much. I know it's a collaboration with Kid Cudi and Kanye and probably many other artists, but that was like I loved hearing him on that after the speeding bullet to heaven or whatever.
So I guess with Kid Cudi, it's like I loved like the Man on the Moon albums, but then the ones after that were so bad. That anything that was decent was going to be a comeback of sorts.
Yeah, you just like if you put out enough crap, like anything will make you. Yeah, will put you on top of that pile.
Yeah. Any other ones that came?
Not that I can really think of like off the top of my head. Oftentimes I feel like bands don't really make comebacks, to be honest. Like they have which is totally understandable. Like you have your time of popularity and you eventually like it's hard to stay relevant for longer than a few years, even like
Yeah.
so to even have a comeback is pretty rare.
Well, it's kind of a diss in one sense. Like,
it's almost
if you consistently make like really good albums that your fans enjoy, and there's no need for a comeback.
Yeah,
That's
how I would say about radio.
ahead.
I would say that about like Radiohead.
Yeah, I
like,
think there's more examples than them, but that's a really good one.
Yeah, they like consistently, basically make good albums every 4 years, 5 years that their fans always love. So
you too.
you do. Van Halen. I'm looking for a this wouldn't be a would this be a My Chemical Romance? Would this be a comeback for them? Like,
it would definitely be a comeback. I think they've been away for long enough. Even though they ended on such a high note.
Yeah, they did. Like the Black Parade. Well, did they have an album after that? I think they did. But,
did they? I completely wiped that from my memory.
But they were supposed to have a reunion, I think, in 2020, but that never like happened.
Yeah.
I think Outkast was supposed to also have a comeback, but that really never happened either. So,
there's all kinds of candidates. Like, I think if the Killers actually put out an album that I really like, that would be a
if the Killers actually had a comeback, they'd have a comeback.
Arctic Monkeys kind of did. People liked. I forget the name of it already.
Odd Future Wolfgang needs a comeback. I don't know where have they been.
I don't. That's gonna be tough. I think
Tyler Tyler still puts out good albums frequently. So
yeah, I was listening to Igor like a month ago, maybe, or a few weeks ago, and like I liked it a lot more on second. Like after not listening to it for like a year, that is a good album.
Nice, yeah. It's interesting.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm like looking through all my music here. Not really sure who else has made a comeback or who is in need of one.
Food for thought. Let us know in the comments who we're forgetting.
Who do you want to see? Simon and Garfunkel?
Question mark.
I could, and this pains me to say it, but I could use a Menzinger's comeback.
Ooh.
And like I was saying earlier, it's so hard to, people will always judge you based off of like their favorite albums or your earliest works, but like I'm like craving another like work of similar quality to On the Impossible Past. Like that would just that's what I need.
Saying a truth like that hurts a little bit.
It does, but I mean, yeah. I mean, I really do like After the Party, but
yeah, me too.
I think their stuff since then just hasn't quite scratched that itch.
Yeah, I still listen to it quite a bit.
After the Party or their newer stuff.
Pretty much everything.
Yeah,
that they've made ever, but.
I mean, yeah, I don't want.
It's
I'm not trying to put
not on the same level.
I'm not trying to put too much hate on their name because they're obviously one of my favorite bands of all time. I love seeing them live, and even though I just hold them to like such. I like when you love something, you just hold it to like a high standard, and it's that's just kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It would be kind of a miracle to pull off something like that. I feel like that's almost like a once in a lifetime type of album.
Yeah, I mean, it truly is like it's a best of the decade type album.
Yeah, but just to have something that really like felt and that was like kind of capturing the same feel of that album would be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's something about like this the atmosphere and the texture and like you said, the feel of the album is just it's hard to recapture that. It's like a lightning in a bottle almost.
Yeah, for sure. You want to move on? Cover another?
Yeah, so we're at about 40 minutes here, so we probably got time for maybe like one more,
Okay.
like 10 or 15-minute topic.
Do you want to just do what we've been listening to lately?
Yeah, what are our recent music recommendations?
You go first because you sent me one that I really liked.
Do you want me to talk about that one or a different one?
You can do a different one first.
Okay. So there is a newish band called Black Country New Road. They're a British band, and their new album For the First Time, and I think this is technically their seminal, like their first major release, like first LP. Really, really, really stuck with me. And other than this next album we're going to talk about, it's another one that I've like kind of really hooked me, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it or listening to it. It's like post-rocky, sort of lavish instrumentation with these dramatically delivered, nearly spoken word, like British accent lyrics that are like poetry, but also seemingly prose. It has I'm having a hard time describing it because it's almost genre defying in a way. I've never heard another band sound quite like this. And a lot of these songs, I think there's 2 instrumental tracks on the album. They're kind of the one that I would recommend people listen to as like a single if you want to like maybe like, oh, I want to listen to this album, but I want to get a taste for it first. Is the song called Sunglasses, and I think this single came out in 2019 and kind of put this band on the map. And it's just this wild. If there's any band I would compare them to, it's like Slint, actually. And this song reminds me a lot of like a "Oh Captain, My Captain" or whatever. I can't remember what the actual name of the song is, but it's a meandering story that like rises and falls and kind of pulsates with energy. And this guy's talking about how he has his new pair of sunglasses on and he's invincible and he's walking down the street, but slowly like little chinks in his armor are starting to form and he's having like a mental breakdown almost. And it's just the way it's described is so it's so like exciting and invigorating and powerful. And if you like Slint at all or later Big Ups, it's kind of Big Ups is also really inspired by Slint as well. So
and it sounds like Double Daggerish a little bit.
Yeah, it's a less punk than Double Dagger.
Yeah, but
definitely give this one a listen. I was super just intrigued by the originality of it all, and it's I love a good like musical, like just the theatrics of it all, and this is like an incredibly theatrical style album. So that's what I've been really liking as well.
Nice. Mm-hmm. If Big Ups was dad rock, that's Riley's perfect album.
If Big Ups was dad rock. Yeah, it would be.
If Big Ups made a butt rock album.
Fuck, you're getting me a little excited over here, just the thought of it.
That does sound pretty tight. Guys, get back together. Do that for us, if you can.
Damn, I would love that. All right, Matt, what you been listening to?
Well, honestly, it's just been all over the place. I can't pin down any one thing. Just kind of drifting in and out, whatever floats my boat at the time. Why don't we just... Oh, I should mention The Dirty Nil released an album at the beginning of this year called Fuck Art. And there are some singles that are awesome on it and have very much stuck in my head. If you like Pup, I think you would really like The Dirty Nil. They have a similar ability to write aggressive punk songs that also get stuck in your head very easily. So definitely check them out if you haven't. But why don't you kick it off talking about the other album? Because...
So this album, I originally, the band is 100 Gex and the album is 1000 Gex. I originally heard of this band because they released a One Step Closer by Linkin Park remix like earlier this year, and I was like, this is wild. But I didn't think anything more of it. And then they popped up on my YouTube feed playing the song 800 Decibel Cloud on this Adult Swim live stream music thing they do called the Fish Tank or something, where they have like bands playing with a green screen of like a fish in the background. But it's they usually have pretty good bands on there, and I was like this is fucking crazy. So I went and looked up this album, and it was just that. It's fucking crazy. It's every genre. Like it's like glitchy pop music, like hyper pop music, ska. There's a ska song. There's like death metal growls. There's like emo. There's like early 2000s like pop punk and stuff. It's just all over the place, and it's glitchy, and there's like weird interludes of like somebody playing with all the different settings on like a Casio keyboard. Like
Yeah.
it's wild, and I love it. And I sent it to Matt. I was like, you might not like this, but like you have to listen to this because it's like nothing else exists like this, and the energy is off the charts.
Well, I listened to one of the songs first, and I was like, I don't know about this. But then I did, I'm glad I started the album from the beginning, because then it made much more sense.
Yeah, it's like, it's hard, it sounds like all these different things would be hard to like string together, but they do it well, and I think you're right. Like you might have to listen to like the whole album to like get that feel for what's going on.
One thing I loved about it is that it's very humorous. I love a little bit of comedy, and the lyrics are funny.
They don't take themselves like super seriously.
Yeah, I can't tell if honestly, and this is a compliment, I can't tell if the music is just trying to be a meme or
Yes.
genuine.
I think that's kind of like, is that like an aesthetic? Like
It might be.
Like making fun of the whole idea of like pop music and just trying to make the most absurd shit you can, but doing it well. Like, I don't know. I had that same thought, Matt. Like,
yeah,
is this for real? Like,
I was thinking that a lot while listening to this.
Yeah, but
it's like, are they trying to be good or intentionally not being good? But it sounds good still.
They're incredibly talented, but it's almost like they're it's like off the rails. It's like it's off the rails in a talented way. Like it's like very purposefully memey. I don't know. And I did, after I listened to this, I listened to the Anthony Fantano review of it, and I think he said it well. Like, it's to be seen whether or not this album will age well. Like, will we look back on this in 10 years and just kind of groan at it like that was kind of like, now that's kind of corny or whatever, but for the time being, it's exciting and fun. And I will say I went and watched one of their like live shows, like in a small ballroom, like in October of 2019, and it had like the energy of a punk rock, like people were moshing and stuff. So I would eventually love to see these guys live.
That sounds super cool.
Mm-hmm.
This is your podcast reminder that we miss live music very much.
Yes, we do. But yeah, it almost made me too sad to like, I had to stop watching that because I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
But we're not too far away, I don't think.
I'm praying.
Yeah. Wait, this is March of 2021 that we're recording this, and the word on the street is by April.
It's March 3rd, 2021. We still haven't been to live music in over a year.
Send live music.
Send live music.
Yeah, man. But it was nice to pretend. Close my eyes, think about it.
Yeah, super interesting album. There's like a dubstep breakdown at the end of the first song.
Yeah, there's
cool.
definitely dubstep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is always catchy and it's always poppy. And you texted me like that song "Stupid Horse" was like gonna be stuck in your head forever. Like,
oh yeah,
it's like
at
a
its
song
core, it's poppy and
and not like a
in a way that I've heard before. That's kind of, I think, growing in popularity. That is kind of a little bit memey.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't stick to that. It's just all over the place at the same time, but also they weave it together well.
Yeah, it's very like Gen Z pop music. Like I think this is like a growing movement, like you said, in the pop scene, like just kind of like absurdist pop music.
Yeah. I think you're onto it.
But yeah, so give those albums a listen, and let us know what you think in the comments.
Yep. I think that about wraps it up then.
Yeah,
this was a jam sesh.
Yeah, this is a good jam sesh. Yeah. Anything else, Matt, you want to say?
Enjoy your month of March.
That's very nice of you.
That's what I've just been telling everyone that I interact with. All the three people that I talk to.
Enjoy your month of March.
enjoy the month.
All right, I will also say that. Enjoy your month of March, folks. All right.
All right.
FTMB over and out.